completed construction of shore storage facility of 110,000 meters cubed next to Kosiv in Mombasa. This facility is now operational, and KPC and VTI management have finalized discussions on management of the facility with the intention of allowing KPC to manage this terminal. This will ensure adequate storage space and further ensure security of supply of petroleum products in Kenya and the region. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to conclude my statement by touching a little on Kenya Petroleum Refinery issue by assuring you that the government is committed to ensuring the outstanding issues are resolved as soon as possible. My speech will not be complete without touching what is happening upstream front. It's encouraging that currently the estimated quantity of crude oil reserves out of the 7 oil discovery wells in tertiary rift basin in Turkana County, they hold around 600 million barrels of recoverable oil. Even in addition, in Wajir West, also a well-discovered gas, and in fact they are doing appraisal for that field. So very soon, possibly, we shall have our own natural gas to do power generation. This is expected to increase as more data is collected and additional wells are drilled. Of course, the government is aware of the need to have in place the infrastructure to support the envisaged oil exploitation activities. Towards this end, plans to construct Hoima Lokchar Lam crude pipeline are ongoing. In fact, we opened the tender for feasibility study and the preliminary engineering design. The technical, we opened the technical tender. We are in 1st of September, we shall open the financials and eventually award. In 5 months, the report will be ready. All this is not possible unless there is strong public-private partnership. And that's why I commend Tosha Petroleum for taking this great and bold step of the ambitious growth plan. They have gone ahead and involved the government in their plans, which we appreciate and fully support. I think let me leave it there because I have more senior people with me. I'll not open it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It gives me this pleasure to welcome the Majority Leader, National Assembly, my personal friend, Bwana Aden Duale. No, Aden Duale and I are friends. Saa zingine ananipigia simu ananiambia jala sina hata kitu kwa simu. Nitumia hata bambambao.
The management of Tosha Petroleum Company, the chairman of the board and the management, my colleagues from the Energy Committee of the National Assembly, and partners, and I've seen so many people from the banks. So I think this is where, if you see on our Monday morning, senior people from the financial institutions coming for this kind of a function, then it tells you the investment Tosha Petroleum are planning to put. I think for me, first I want to recognize, because in Parliament and under the new system of governments, parliamentary committees are very, very important. So this morning I decided to come with the key leadership from the Committee of Energy and Communication, because they're the ones who are involved in oversight of the petroleum and the energy sector in totality. They're the ones who are in charge of the legislation that pertains to that sector. And I'm sure now they're dealing with the energy policy bill before Parliament, before we go for Christmas. One, I think I want to thank the management and the board of Tosha. And from where I speak, I'm one person who believes in the Kenyanization of our investment. I believe in Kenyan companies. And because when you see huge multinationals, you see everybody is coming to our country, from the Far East in China, to the West, to the Middle East. And that's why you saw even, for the first time, US-Africa Summit. It was nothing other than business. Because before that summit, the Vice President of Central Electric was in Nairobi. And I saw him asking our president, please, Mr. President, let's get a share of this investment. Don't give everything to the Chinese. So it is the business sector that forced President Obama to call the African heads of state so that he argues the case for his business sector. So I think Tosha is a representative of a Kenyan brand in the petroleum sector. When you see, when Tosha grows, when Harsh Energy grows, when Harsh Petroleum grows, and when Gulf Energy grows, then the Kenyan local economy has grown. It makes a very big difference when Total, when the old Mobil Oil Kenya now, which is Oil Libya, and Caltex. As much as they do, we must make sure as a country that one of our own indigenous companies, whether they're in the financial sector, whether they're in the energy sector, whether they're in the ICT sector, whether they're in the security sector, they also grew. And we have a plan in Parliament. We have a plan in Parliament to introduce a law that says every major investment, every huge investment in our country, where the government is involved, billions of dollars, 20 to 30% of that investment is given to the local companies. We must protect our own. The Kenyans who are in the middle class, they have invested in small companies. So Tosha Petroleum represents that group of people or those investors in the energy sector. And this is why, you know, about 1 month ago, I was watching the business news, and I saw multinationals threatening the independent gas dealers. And I asked myself, this country has grown. We have Energy Regulatory Commission. The function of that commission is to make sure the small and the big play the same ball, that both of them live to the standards provided by that commission. And we are telling our independent dealers, as you grow, you must also follow the regulations and the standards given by that commission. Because some of those regulations, and more so in the petroleum sector, they border on safety and security. So for our people and for our investment to grow, you must also invest in the safety and security as provided by the regulator. But today we're here and we want to show our solidarity with Tosha. Tosha is a local indigenous Kenyan company. And I'm happy when I called the CS for energy, he was committed today. He was out of town. But he has sent one of his senior managers in his ministry. When you have the Commissioner of Petroleum, when you have a team from Parliament, from the relevant departmental committee on energy and communication, then all that Tosha needs, the government is a facilitator. It provides the infrastructure. Then this is a clear indication of government commitment to facilitating and making Tosha and the many other local companies are taken care of, are protected, and they play their role in making sure that the double-digit economic growth the Jubilee government is working on, Tosha and many other small companies in their own way, they will contribute. So we want to see more flagship rebranded retail outlets of Tosha across the country. 10 years ago, the independent dealers were selling their products like a kiosk. But today, only on this street, you have Tosha here. This station is similar to Total petrol stations, to Oil Libya. There's no difference. Serious investment, to, like the National Oil Corporation, which is owned by government. So Tosha, we expect as we drive across the country to see more Tosha. Secondly, and more fundamentally, Parliament is there. Parliament is there to make sure that the necessary laws and legislations and policy documents from government and stakeholders are provided, are enacted into law through the Departmental Committee of Energy, and to make sure that we have the best practice internationally. If you look at the energy policy, it's borrowed from the best of the best practice in the petroleum sector across the world. So Parliament is there. Parliament, people see us when we do politics over the weekend, but I can say it here authoritatively that since I became the leader of majority, 67 pieces of legislations have come to Parliament from different sectors, from the financial sector, from the energy sector, from the infrastructure. And this is my appeal to the business community. You know, people don't know the role of Parliament. This week we are dealing with a very, very important bill called the Finance Bill. The Finance Bill basically comes 90 days after the national budget is read, and is the only bill that must be passed by Parliament within 90 days from the day the minister reads. And this is a bill that deals with raising taxation measures. And this year, there is a serious component on the energy sector. There's a serious component on the petroleum sector. And it came from the Minister of Finance. But last week when I shared that section with the Cabinet Secretary for Energy, they were shocked. And they said, this can't happen. So that we have to delay that bill for one more week for them to consult. So Parliament is open to the public. The parliamentary website, if you go to the parliamentary website, you'll get different pieces of legislation touching on the banking sector, on the financial sector, on the energy sector, on agriculture. It's upon the people to go into those sites, into the website of Parliament, look at the law before Parliament, and our Constitution has given public participation a very, very important role. No law will be passed without the key stakeholders, without the owners of that sector being heard. So this is my appeal to the players in the energy sector, in the financial sector, that you don't sit in your offices, you don't sit in your boardrooms and assume Parliament is going to pass laws that are in favor of you. You must participate in those laws. So Tosha, we are very, very happy. I don't want to speak much. We are there for Kenyan indigenous companies that meet all the financial and the safety and all the standards as provided for by the commissions, different commissions that deal with the regulations. I'm sure, and I want to bring the apology of the directors in charge of the energy regulatory body. I found them at the parking lot in Parliament. They were summoned by a parliamentary committee, and I told them it's better I take your apology because you missed to appear before Parliament. Parliamentary committees have the same powers as that of the High Court. The next time they can summon you, and when they summon you, you enter, you either be given the Bible or the Quran, and you are put under oath, and that is the beginning of a process. So Gitonga have sent through me his apology, but of course I'm sure he must have walked you through to where Tosha is. So Tosha again is a Kenyan company, and it's a company also that has its roots in northern Kenya. So if I speak for the people of northern Kenya, despite the many clan wars we have, we are also doing very well in business. So please look at both sides. We have a serious challenge. We need to go back home. This morning we had to deal with the clashes in Mandera. But I want to tell the country that as much as we are fighting ourselves, the other sections of our community in Kenya and in many other parts of the world, they are also building the nation in many ways. And finally, I think, you know, the problem with the Jalango will tell you Jalango is only my friend only when I appear before his radio station. He has a very popular radio station. Is that if you don't say something about what is happening, they will not even report that today we were at Tosha, a petrol station. So at least for them to show, the pictures and the great people who are here, we need to give them a bite. I think our position as a coalition, as a Jubilee coalition, our primary duty under the leadership of the president, our primary duty is to fulfill our promises and the social contract we have with the people of Kenya. We have a social contract of 5 years as far as the health sector is concerned, as far as the water is concerned, as far as infrastructure. So day in, day out, we are making sure that social contract we have signed with the people of Kenya is achieved. Our competitors have no social contract. Our competitors are waiting for a social contract in 2017. So for them, for these 5 years, they have no social contract. So they can have enough time to sit around and take tea and politic. And we told the president, please, that should not be your focus. As the commissioner said, we are very, very serious in building energy infrastructure. We have already given, that contract already given out for the Mombasa-Nairobi oil pipeline, one of the biggest, more than 50 billion shillings, close to $600 million US. We are doing the Lapset infrastructure, the Lamu, South Sudan, Ethiopia corridor, where we are putting the road network, the railway network, the pipeline, and the port. We have turned around the port of Mombasa. When we were taking over as Jubilee, they were doing 1,250 container lifts a day. Today, they're doing more than 1,800 containers lifts a day, KPA. We're doing all this. We went out and went into the Eurobond. Why are we doing all this? We want to make sure that doing business in Kenya is very, very easy. And before Parliament, there are 3 very important bills, very huge bills. And I want the banks and the business community to look into it. There is the companies law, there is the insolvency law, and there is a business registration law before Parliament. And please have time to appear before the relevant committees of finance and legal, so that it becomes easy for even our banks to do business. It becomes easy for our business communities to access all the necessary impetus for economic growth. We are transforming the land sector so that